Hello everyone, I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to The Audio Analyst. I admit to having been hard smitten from my very first exposure to the supreme series of electronics from Greece's True Life Audio, the SSP-1 dual mono Linestage and the SSA-350 hybrid monoblocks in the fall of 2022. The fact is that I've been continuously spoiled by my time living with them since they were installed as my reference electronics a year ago last May. And let me offer my apologies for all the factors that have conspired to keep this evaluation from reaching you until now. True Life Audio of Athens, Greece was founded by Vilasarios Georgiadis in 1995. His father, Aristomenes, had been a transformer technician who had opened his own company in 1957 to provide high-performance transformers for telecommunications, broadcast, medical, military, and industrial implementations. By 2005, young Aristomenes Georgiadis II, Vilasarios' son, named after his grandfather, had finished his studies in electrical engineering. Having been a lifelong witness to his grandfather's and father's experiences in making audio transformers and building superior amplification circuits, his joining True Life Audio not only assured that they would continue to build and provide excellent products, but secured their capabilities to further improve upon and achieve new levels of realistic sound. Sadly, we lost Vilasarios to a heart attack in the spring of 2019 when he was just 59 years old. Aristomenes II assumed full control of the destiny of TLA at that time, and these new Supreme Series products, along with the more affordable True Series, had his guidance to their completion. It may be of some interest to note that the excellent Kronos audio reference phono amplifier and its latest iteration, the benchmark-setting Discovery phono preamplifier, which debuted at High-End Munich 2024, were joint development projects between True Life Audio and Kronos founder and wizard Louis Desjardins. Now, the SSP-1 Linestage takes a purist stereo tube amplifier approach as a discrete two-chassis design. It uses a fully dual mono design approach for both the PSU-1 power supply and the SSP-1 audio signal chassis to ensure total channel isolation and separation. Both chassis measure about 17 1/3 inches wide, stand about 7 1/2 inches tall on their custom Kronos designed footers, and are 17 1/2 inches deep. While the signal chassis weighs a tad over 57 pounds, the power supply lands at just over 66 pounds. The faceplate of both units is milled into a gently undulating symmetrical wave left to right, with a roughly 3/4 inch tall groove running the entire width of its horizontal center. Each also uses two roughly 3.5 inch round recesses, one at the 1/4 and another at the 3/4 position, again left to right across the width of the front panel, both situated on that central groove. Both chassis feature each unit's respective backlit model number, SSP-1 or PSU-1, centered in that horizontal groove, as well as having a very attractive 2-inch wide by 1 inch tall countersunk blue backlit TLA logo centered about 1 inch down from the top of the faceplate. The signal chassis, the SSP-1, has two roughly 2.5 inch round knobs at those two recesses, the left providing for selecting one of its 4 inputs and the right for managing the volume. Each of the 4 inputs has a corresponding blue LED and number stenciled near the bottom left corner to indicate which one is currently selected. Early models like mine have input names rather than numbers. On the power supply, the PSU-1, two roughly 2.5 inch round protrusions match the location and look of the SSP-1's control knobs and are instead fitted with a push-button switch for each of the two separate power supplies it houses. The circuit uses a pure Class A transformer-coupled single-ended circuit built around a pair of new old stock 6J5 tubes in one chassis. Though electrically identical to the ubiquitous 6SN7, the 6J5 is a single triode instead of being a pair delivered in one bottle as the 6SN7. With its octal base and an amplification factor of 20, it is classified as an indirectly heated medium mu triode. With its extreme linearity and remarkably low plate resistance, it makes an excellent choice as a driver. The power supply is built around an X GZ32 medium power full wave rectifier, and as indicated, it uses two separate power switches and umbilicals to power the signal chassis. High purity copper solid core conductors are used throughout both the power supply and signal chassis. Along with its four inputs, it features a unique application of an Alps Gold potentiometer and offers remote volume control via a small, minimalist metal remote. TLA's Chief Technical Officer, Manos Tito Michalakis, I hope I said that right, Manos, politely avoids offering too much detail when describing its proprietary application, but was able to share that no audio signal runs through this exotic and quite pricey Alps Gold potentiometer. Instead, this pod is used to control the current gain driving a select resistor, which then courses straight out to the tube drive stage to achieve a stated bandwidth of 10 Hz to 110,000 Hz. Given the company's history, it will come as no surprise that the output and power transformers used to realize these devices are manufactured in-house to the highest quality and specifications imaginable. These transformers all use only the highest purity enameled copper wire and feature ultra-linear, high-quality laminations from Hitachi Metals Limited to achieve their ultra-low-loss capability. The SSA-350 monoblock amplifiers share the same aesthetic of the two chassis Linestage and power supply, save for the two recessions, as well as using an X GZ32 for rectification. As a sophisticated hybrid Class AB design, they offer a single-ended tube stage also based upon an NOS 6J5 to drive an ultra-linear solid-state stage. In power amps that would typically use both halves of the more common 6 and 7 in parallel, the single 6J5 may be used without modification. This ultralinear stage is followed by a solid-state current amplifier. This dual staging requires two separate linear power supplies. The first supply, featuring its custom-designed EI low-loss lamination transformer, delivers the voltages required by both the rectifier and signal tubes. This specifically designed choke uses TLA's technique for filtering its high voltage for the tube front stage. The second supply uses a unique custom-designed UI low-loss lamination transformer, combined with high-speed rectification and quality filter capacitors to deliver the dual polarity voltage and high current needed for the solid-state and output sections. This ultralinear solid-state circuitry takes over the amplification of the signal, delivering the signal to the exceptionally accurate bipolar transistor-based current amplifier circuit that delivers the final power to the load. Of course, all component tolerances are closely matched, and only the highest quality copper and foam capacitors, individually evaluated, hand-selected, and matched, are chosen for use in the signal path. The amplifier is said to develop a bandwidth of up to 330,000 Hz. Power the SSP-350 on, and its MOSFET protection circuit, used to connect the load to the amplifier, delivers approximately a 12 to 13 second delay before connecting the amp to the speaker, allowing the tube heaters ample time to warm up. Finally, their massive heat sink construct, machined from solid aluminum, is also designed to be an essential part of all of the amplifier's complex vibration damping mechanisms. Some may recall the widely adopted practice during the early and mid-70s that saw music lovers using a tubed preamp in conjunction with solid-state amplification. Though an admitted compromise, the choice to use tubes to add body and bloom to the typically drier-sounding but vice-like controlled grip and power provided by solid-state amplification was still a very agreeable one. But make no mistake, while none of today's finer valve-based electronics exhibit even a hint of the often euphonic, syrupy, overly smoothed and compressed performance, especially when overdriven, that was so typical from older tube amplification, even into the 90s. These supreme components deliver a level of performance I've only heard closely approximated, let alone matched, by only a handful of electronics in my experience. What stood out immediately upon their installation was an uncanny and inherent sense of effortlessness, expressed as a combination of ease and naturalness. I support my local symphony orchestras for many fine reasons, not the least of which is to maintain my acuity to relate the sound of live, unamplified instruments to the sonic reconstruction of such instruments as rendered by my reference system. I quickly recognized the same semblance of realism and sophistication that I had noted and so highly valued with the flagship valve amplification company's full statement suite, unmistakably combined with that sense of steadfast control, power, and macro and micro dynamic expressiveness so clearly demonstrated by the AudioNet flagship Scientist Series Stern-Heisenberg combination. This conflation of both sumptuous nuance and complete dominion, offered by two of the finest sounding sets of electronics that have ever graced my reference system, was nothing short of extraordinary. And the more time I spent with these machines, the more convinced I became of their remarkable and engaging fidelity. Once you've experienced the weight, punch, impact, and definition of reconstructed bass that can be delivered by a world-class loudspeaker like my Von Schweikert Audio Ultra 9s, it's all but impossible to accept any loss, no matter how minor in degree, of that authority. Their remarkable influence and authority allowed them to utterly dictate their grip over the lowest registers, exhibiting complete control and expressive articulation of the lowest reaches of the Ultra 9s, down into the 16 Hz territory. They possess an almost magical, seductive capacity to express mid-range purity and texture, and in particular, tonality and body. This extremely fine and conspicuous trait contributed appreciably to their capacity to reconstruct a convincingly faithful representation of instrumental reality, revealing their ability to readily reproduce the subtle differences between a Bosendorfer, Steinway, or Yamaha Grand Concert piano, and arguably represented unsurpassed performance in this regard. Their prowess with uppermost registers was exemplary. The spectrum beginning with the uppermost midrange was delivered with a deftly balanced combination of detail, air, and extension. When paired with the right loudspeakers, those capable of soaring well into the 50 or 60 kilohertz or higher regions, they present this bandwidth with an ethereal sense of body and an unconstrained, unfettered sense of extension, and in a very deceptively lifelike manner. The result is delicately layered detail enhanced by exceptional speed and gradation. Their ability to form a well-defined, three-dimensional soundstage, generating the hauntingly realistic essence of spatial location and size, including expressing the width, depth, and height of instrumental location, was exceptionally accurate and refined. They excel at presenting that sense of demonstrative existence, what I routinely refer to as corporeality, and arguably delivered the finest presentation of these sonic properties that I've ever experienced in my room. I could go on, but what matters most is that you understand this remarkable set of electronics presents music in one of the most expressive, articulate, and engaging manners of any set of electronics in my experience, at any price, whether valve or silicon based. It just so happens that this pairing uses both and to exceptionally gratifying results. Over all my time with these electronics, my only legitimate complaint was that the inputs of the SSP-1 are not fully isolated from one another. If music was playing from any source connected to any input other than the one selected, it was slightly audible. Though this is easily remedied by merely turning off that other source, it was surprising. But hey, no audio product is perfect, not a single one. There are many exceptional amplification products available today, but the remarkably comprehensive set of attributes these Greek-built upstarts bring to the party allows them to fold them all into one coherent, synergistic aggregation. Their collective performance is not only impossible to deny once heard, but one that elevates the playback of recorded music to revelatory and resplendent effect. They effortlessly deliver one of the most exceptionally congruent musical tapestries I've yet experienced. The result is not only considerably greater than the sum of their constituent parts, but one that results in an uncannily fluent and honest musical experience. It is as if they simply exhale music. While you may arguably find another Linestage or set of amplifiers that offer a slightly more appealing degree of performance in one category or another, having been in and around this industry for 5 decades and chronicling that journey for more than 35 years, I would contend that you are unlikely to hear another pairing that more convincingly allows you to just forget that you are listening to a conglomeration of electromechanical devices, and to become simply and wholly immersed in the musical illusion that they so adeptly create. Revisiting my favorite performances and recordings with these masterful music-making machines has routinely allowed me to move further into, to more relevantly experience, the emotional and musical messages being delivered by the efforts of the artist or artists in play. They present music with an uncanny flair for immersively uncovering, exposing, and revealing the subtle refinements, shaded nuances, and variability of inflection that the composers and artists worked so diligently to capture and communicate through their recordings. The 2-chassis SSP-1 PSU-1 Linestage, driving the pair of SSP-350 monoblocks, are not just the new kids on the block deserving of your attention. They are unabashed usurpers, aiming to not only validate and claim their supreme status, but to assume their rightfully warranted station and the recognition that they are among the finest amplification offerings available today. To that end, this remarkable supreme series of components from Greece joins an elite and select group of top-tier electronics that have not only won over my musical heart and soul, earning my most eager endorsement, but they are products I hope to make my long-term reference electronics. Those with the means should be sure to audition True Life Audio's Supreme Series before you settle on any purchase. If you don't, when you are exposed to their staggeringly exceptional level of performance afterward, you may discover that you have found yourself still regrettably riding the audiophile upgrade merry-go-round. Don't say I didn't warn you. My sincerest thanks for watching today. Further information on supporting the channel may be found in today's description section or at my website, theaudioanalyst.com. Please stay safe and keep the music playing. Till next time, cheers.